So I'm back volunteering at the rescue centre today, and there was a new staffy that had been found strayed, found abandoned. No history, no microchip. We don't really know much about the dog at all. And the guys that run and the staff at the rescue centre wanted me to go and check out the dog. They had some issues with nipping, especially around food. And they also were very aware that there was some significant fear-based behaviours being displayed, and they wanted me to go and assess what the situation was and see if it was a dog that we could, that I could work with and help overcome some of these issues. And then hopefully, as always, get them to a point where they can go to their forever home and live out a wonderful life. As soon as we got there, it doesn't take a genius to work out that within a split second, this is an incredibly fearful staffy that we've got on our hands here. These cases are the ones that absolutely melt my heart. There's a part of me, every part of my being I just want to go down and cuddle it and tell it that everything's going to be okay, but often is the case that is the worst thing that you can do. And I imagine the nipping, biting history that had come with this dog was around fear biting. There's obviously, everybody knows the saying of don't back a dog into a corner. Right here, right now, we have a situation that couldn't be more applicable to the saying of do not back a dog into a corner. He had pinned himself in the corner, and every bit of his body language was oozing to just be left alone. Please leave me alone. Wouldn't make eye contact, turning the side of the head, that side eye, ears back, tail back, just, again, absolutely terrified. And although I want to go in and tell him everything's going to be okay, it's very difficult. Now, obviously, with a positive only approach, you might want to go and take food, but this is a dog that is very much in pure fear stage. It might look like it's sad, but this is a dog that is in fight or flight mode, and it can't flight because it's pinned in that corner. He's trying to flight, but there's nowhere else he can go. If I go in and try and give him food, first and foremost, he has zero interest in food right now, and especially zero interest in taking food from me because of the state of mind that he's in. Again, his adrenaline is racing, his heart will be racing, and he is just pleading with me to leave him alone. Now, it leaves me with an interesting situation. If this was a dog with a client not in a shelter, I'd have more time to be much more patient with a case like this, and I'd have more time to try and work out a bit more of a clever approach of trying to maybe bring him out of the environment, getting the owners to bring him out of the environment, and there's different options that we have. This is a dog where we have zero history. So I have no idea anything happened before a day before I was with this dog. He came in the day before I was there. So other than that tiny bit of information, I've got no idea. And also, as is the case with these dogs, they need to get turned around quickly, otherwise they get written off very quickly. So with these kind of cases, I want to be able to make as much impact as quickly as possible, or at least to be able to show progress as quickly as possible, to say, give this dog a chance, let me come back, let me do a couple of sessions. I think that we can make progress with this dog, rather than write them off, them unfortunately get put down, them have to get sent to another shelter where that shelter might put them down. It's a horrible situation for these dogs to find themselves in. So I want to be able to make progress as quickly as possible, if possible. So after trying a few different tactics, a few different body language tactics myself, a few different non-threatening approaches to try and always, as is always the case, display leadership, but in a trusting manner. I'm not trying to dominate the dog. I'm not trying to make him more fearful. I want to let him know that, yes, I am in charge of this situation, but if you trust in me, everything's going to be okay. Now, obviously, we've got no idea what happened to this dog. He might have been beaten. He might have been abused. He might have spent years being given a lot of reasons to not trust humans. So, again, we don't know. Luckily, dogs tend to be very forgiving and do tend to live more in the now than in the past. But when there's significant trauma, again, they can only go off what they've learnt from their learnt behaviours, which oftentimes might be to pin themselves in a corner and be very fearful to keep out of the way of any negative situations they might have found themselves in. Now, I assessed quite quickly that if I went any closer than I was going to get bit. I was 90% sure that if I tried to make an attempt to go and give any kind of physical praise, there was a bite coming. It would have been a classic fear bite, and it would have been that classic example of don't back a dog into a corner. So what we did was I left him with some food. I wanted to make it very clear that this food that you're going to be able to eat once I've gone has come from me. I wanted him to make sure that he saw that it was me putting the food down, and then we're going to come back and try again. Now, sometimes dogs go into this fear state just through being in a new environment, and simply having a couple of days to settle in will start to bring bring them out of the shell, which means that I can then try again and be able to build a little bit of trust, enough to get a lead on, enough to get them outside, and then as soon as I can get them in that training field and working with them, I can build relationship. And usually at that stage is where we are able to make these incredible transformations with these dogs that are wonderful. They are fantastic to do, and it is the favourite part of my job. But again, I want to keep the stress as minimal as possible on this Staffy, but we have to work quickly to try and save this dog's life, as is the case with all these dogs that end up in the shelter. So it's always that balancing act. We're always juggling, wanting to move quickly, but without going too much, too soon, too fast, expecting too much. So this is a classic case of that. I've had reassurances that this dog will still be able to be there. He won't get sent on, he won't get put down before I get another chance to come and assess him. So like I say, we left him with some food. Hopefully through that experience of me going in and being non-threatening, he hopefully will start to understand that concept of it doesn't mean he's going to get hurt. And although he's fearful, hopefully he doesn't need to lash out. And again, for me, it's about getting close enough, build enough trust that I can get a lead on him without having to use a catch pole or a bite suit. If I can get a lead on him without having to use any of those kind of more scary tactics, then we can start that process of building trust. Then we can get going with some basic lead work, some basic engagement work, a little bit of basic obedience to build relationship, build trust, build engagement, and then we're off to the races. So like I say, these are the ones that aren't necessarily an incredible transformation, but they're real, they're honest. It's what actually happened day to day in these roles. The fun transformation videos always look good on a YouTube video, but this is one of those things where you come in and you have to think on your feet. You have to be like I say, you have to kind of be able to work on the fly, try and work out what's happened on the fly, especially when you've got no information, to go off and do your best to try and assess the situation, do the best for the dog, but keeping yourself and other people safe in the process. So we will do another video on this Staffy. This will be a really interesting tale. Hopefully you've seen now how bad it can be when we start, the level of sheer fear that can be in a dog, and we'll be able to take you on that arc of starting that engagement and that trust, building that relationship and getting to a point where I'll have that dog best friends, loving working with us, and then able to go to its new forever home. And those stories, they may, even though they take a little bit longer, are the more fulfilling, more rewarding ones, and I'm really excited to be able to take you on the journey for that story.